hip hop is that beautiful marriage of like word. I mean, unless it's mumble, like all right. Let me just. Some trap music is fine.
Okay.
I'm just saying, if you gonna stack paper like this and get all that money for publishing, write down some words. Why is Kendrick the only one?
Shots fired.
I'm just saying. Everybody who needs to catch strays, catch your strays from this statement. People should not be making money as lyricists for like a whole song that has one bar in it.
Tell us about a moment where you wish you would have said something and you didn't. There's nothing better than this. Say what you mean. 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 Hey, what's up? It's your girl, Aida Rodriguez, and welcome to another episode of Say What You Mean, where people stop by to share those stories of those moments where they wish they would have spoken up and they didn't. Per our usual routine, I like to start off with my own Say What You Mean. And today I want to talk about some years ago, back in San Diego, when I was living there. My ex-husband was playing for the San Diego Chargers. I was really young. It was new for me. And he bought me a Moschino purse and a Moschino belt. And I was very excited about it because I really liked that designer, and I liked the chunky gold. But the belt was tarnished. And I went back to the department store that he got it from to return it with my daughter, who was a baby at the time. And the woman didn't believe that we bought it. She assumed that I stole it. And I was very upset. I was very hurt. And I went off on her. My baby went off on her. My daughter was in her. She was emulating me. I was like going off, and she was going off. And I was, I berated her. I was like, I'm here shopping. You're the one at the, at the department store. My husband plays for the San Diego Chargers, and you're trying to make me feel small, and you this and you that. And what I really wanted to say, and I didn't have the words to say, is, girl, who hurt you? Mm-hmm. I hope that you can find some peace, and I hope you've grown up as I have, because back then when I went off on you and I berated you, I went home feeling bad after you made me feel bad, and I felt bad for making you feel bad and embarrassing you in front of everybody that was around. But I hope you found your healing and your peace, and making somebody feel bad for working at a department store was not the way, because I worked in retail. But what I was really speaking to was my pain of you embarrassing me and humiliating me in front of other people with holding my baby in my hand. And I really hope you found your way. And for the Chinese lady that was there, and she was Chinese because she said she was Chinese, you can kiss my ass, because what you said to me in front of my child, in front of a whole bunch of people, when you said your people tend to steal and your people tend to act like that, it was just fuel to the fire, and I hope somebody slapped you since then. All right, we're gonna move on. Anyway, welcome to the show is another person who I get to call my friend. She's a very talented actor. I had the opportunity of going to see her one-person show, and I was totally blown away by her performance of the multitude of characters, and then they were being expressed perfectly. It wasn't just a bunch of characters, but it was such a meticulous performance that I was just like, wow, this is an amazing, amazing human being, such a vessel, the gift that breathes life into people who look and sound like those that I grew up around. And it's always great to see that. She has a podcast that I was just praising called America Who Hurt You, as she also has been focused on finding solutions. But she's a Tony Award winning performer, and I get to be her friend, Sarah Jones.
I get to be your friend.
No, hey, how are you?
I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy that you're here too.
Yeah, it feels good to already be. I'm like, I'm gonna say what I mean. I'm ready. I'm getting it ready.
How's that feel? How does it feel to say what you mean?
You know what it does? It reminds me how often, especially in entertainment, but I think it's in everybody's life, you're not supposed to say what you mean, right? Mm-hmm. You're supposed to be like, oh, I'm fine. You're supposed to just hold it in. You talk about it on this show all the time because I'm a fan. But I grew up in a house that, people were from different backgrounds, and my characters, and they may come out and say what they mean.
I love it.
Which, we're going to see what happens right now. So I have Black relatives, white relatives. I have a whole mixture. People saying inappropriate stuff, like what was said to you and your child. It would be like race relations right at the Thanksgiving table would break down.
Okay.
And people would be like, well, so hi there, Ida. You know me so well. Hi, everybody out there in the YouTube land. Anyway, Sarah comes from one of these families where the Black and the white, they intermarried. It was not normal back then.
Okay.
I know it's more okay now. Anyway, there was a lot of we didn't want to say it all. And sometimes you couldn't say anything. So anyway, that I learned to get by sometimes holding it in, but I was taking notes. I was recording for future.
I know you created something magical by it. How do you remember how you were affected by words being younger?
I mean, words hurt sometimes. I remember hearing the N-word from like literally my own relatives. That you up. You're like, wait a minute. Aren't you supposed to be the ally?
Yeah.
And I can hear them even now. If they happen to see this, no one ever said, and I'm like, y'all, the denial,
please.
Miss me with the revisionist history that y'all are doing. But I think the other part of it is I was groomed in my family to not say much. And I think a lot of women are. I think Black people, Latinos, like all of us are taught to sometimes it's for your safety.
Yeah.
If a cop or whoever, you have to learn how to suck it up.
So
words were like, you got to be careful. You got to be judicious about it. But that can also keep you from being honest, which is why I love that you created this show, because it forces people to not just bring their podcast self or their best self or whatever. You got to bring what you really mean.
Yeah. I understand that, on a deep level, and there's always this exceptionalism that comes to us when we are the darker people in our families, that we're not like the rest of them. We're different because we belong to them. Like, ta-da, lucky you. But it does, just like words can tear you down, they can build you up.
That's true.
And who spoke the most life into you in your childhood?
I got to give credit to all my relatives. They had their moments. They would lift me up, and then, but then, then they could turn around and be like, what? With their words. Yeah. But words can cut worse than, sometimes I wish somebody had slapped me instead of read me like they did. But I will say, my mom, my dad, they all saw something in me. I think because it was hard for them to see themselves sometimes. Like, that was not the era of appreciation trophies. It was like, sit down, little. People were not, there was not a lot of processing and therapy and building each other up. So I think they were almost newer to really praising. So I think it was a mixed bag. But I got a lot of love from definitely my mom, my dad. But it would be weird compliments. My dad would be like, you're pretty, but you're smarter. You're not as pretty as you are smart. And I was like, this is gonna work out great. My self-esteem, I am solid. It would be like, your sisters are prettier, but they're, even now I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
But it was like people were trying to figure it out. And I was able to, now I can look back and pick and choose. And I wonder if you can relate to this, Ida, or other people watching. At one point, I was like, how come I'm stuck? 99 people could tell me they love me. If one person was like, you too tall and skinny, and I would just be like, I could
they
not.
matter more.
What is that? So yes, it's the words, it's who they're coming from. I would get lifted up, I would get taken down. It was a wild ride.
But you can't pinpoint one person that you feel was the sweetest person.
That's a good question. I hate to say that. Well, my grandma, she was really the sweetest, but it was confusing because we would walk around and people would be, this is my white grandma. People would be like, are you adopted? So it would be like, she'd say something sweet and then I would have a traumatic experience immediately. Anyway, yes, probably my Grandma Farrington.
Yeah, my grandmother was the one she used to call me darling. She'd call me, hello, darling. That was her word and I always thought it was the sweetest thing. Somebody who calls me darling now and I melt.
Still,
yeah. And so you use words when you write your own stuff. And so how did all of that come into play into your writing and you using words to build people up, to educate people, to give voices to people who don't ordinarily have them?
I think the earliest, it was like, I just wanted to express myself, right? And I did come from this background that kind of made no sense. People were just like, what is this? Like, what are we doing? Like, are we, I would straighten my hair and like, I'm not gonna lie, you talk about it all the time, colorism, it was real bad. So it was like, don't get too dark, emphasize like, just go uptown and hang out behind your cousins. Your Spanish is terrible, but just pretend and get your silk press, girl, and you'll be fine. Just get that Africa out of your head and maybe somebody will like you. It was really internalized racism. Actually, as I'm saying it, I'm like, this is horrible. But I think early on, it was like, again, can I take what I like and leave the kind of dysfunctional stuff behind? But I loved all these characters that surrounded me. And I wanted to bring their voices to, the stage or whatever. I was getting these opportunities to speak up more. And it was also like, I'm not gonna lie, I used it to my advantage. If people were racist, I would, I'd be like, all right, I got you, I see you. Then I would call back and be like, French. And be like, I understand that you are very difficult to Sarah Jones. We are part of the United Nations, and we want you to know that we will be sending investigator to your racist. It was like, I would just like use the words and the performance. Eventually it became professional, but at first it was kind of a weapon. It was
that sounds great.
I couldn't fight, but I was like, I'm gonna hit you with like 50 accents.
That's I think a lot of us, when we first got here, we didn't have representation. We would create these characters that my manager was Candace Greenberg, and it's amazing. Some people don't even know to this day that Candace,
you were Candace.
Yes, they don't. And I'm like, I just look at them like, I'll see you. I'll see you.
I love this so much. And you can have like Candace throw people under the bus for you. It's so good. I actually got out of trouble in school I'm old enough that we had a payphone in our school lounge. And I remember calling down to the nurse to get
you was rich.
I wasn't rich, but I was poor. I was the poorest of the rich in my neighborhood. I went to the UN school. So that's where all the extra sauce, my family was already multicultural. And then I got to school and it was like, I was surrounded by teachers and friends with all these accents. It was like, did anybody watch Fame? If you watch Fame, it was like that, except it was a school. Instead of people jumping on the cabs and like dancing and singing, they were just like, like 1,000 accents. And I was like, oh, this is my music. I just loved it. Anyway, for my South Asian friends, I would call down. There was one parent who I could get away with. And I'm so sorry, Sarah and her friends, they need to, you need to leave. The girls have to leave school. They have to leave early. My daughter is very ill and the other girls are going to accompany her so that she can take the taxi home and take care of herself so that she won't be ill. So it's very important that you bring her to the front entrance and the girls will get their homework later. And I would get us out of school. This was in New York. And we would all like we would all go get high. It was terrible, actually. I should get my tuition money back. It was real bad. But all of this to say, the performance started early. Like it was fun. It was an escape probably. And I was awkward. So it was like, let me be somebody else if I can.
Have you ever been with somebody else out in the dating world where you just started an accent that you couldn't finish?
Oh, it's so wrong. So before Tinder and all of this other insanity, what did Leslie Jones say? What's Left? That's the app. Those are the apps I'm on. Definitely, I'm on What's Left. But before that, when I was like meeting people IRL, I do remember giving people like you gave a fake phone number, obviously. I would just be somebody else until they went away. And so I'm trying to think of who was my go-to. British was if I liked them, which is so dumb because if you give them that and you like them,
what are you gonna? You got.
Where are you going with that?
Yeah,
like you gonna sustain this? What is this? A movie? This is a rom-com where at the end you gotta
say I didn't take my medication. No.
Well, we weren't all the way there yet. I don't think people were not doing the medication conversation was not.
Yeah, it was later.
Right, that was later. But who was I? Oh God, I pretended to be German to get rid of this dude. It's pretty effective. Like it's almost as good. I mean, I was like. I'm not from here, and if you would like, I can maybe help you with something if you want to come to Berlin. there we like to have our children and bring them. Do you want to make baby with me? He was like, bye.
It's so funny. That is hilarious.
It's good for adventure.
Me and my fake cousin, we used to, whenever we saw a guy that we didn't like, one of us would pretend we didn't speak English and the other one would become the translator.
It's perfect.
And that was just our thing throughout. And I remember in Atlanta, it's a singer whose name I won't say, but he's really little. And he had on some leggings.
We know who you are.
No, he had some like leggings. And I was like, no, lo siento, no hablo inglés. De verdad, por favor, espérese un momento. Prima, ¿qué dice el señor? And my cousin would take advantage.
She would give the real translation?
She would be like, she doesn't like you.
I thought she was going to give you the whole thing about yo no entiendo y todo eso. No,
she would do, because she was a jokester. She would be like, she thinks
like you.
that the pants that you have on are inappropriate.
Wow.
Why are you wearing leggings? And he's looking like, did she say that? She looks, and I would just be standing there like, we about to both get beat up. Because I either have to speak English.
Right. You can't actually react. You have to just be there like, we need a reenactment. I'm just saying. I need to see. This is a scene.
I did a whole sketch about it. I'm going to show it to you.
Good. Okay. I'm waiting.
So
yes.
I would love to know a moment in your life when you wish you would have said something and you didn't.
Okay. So this is connected to all the rest of my fun, interconnected, multi-personality issues. I took a job. I think the statute of limitations was up a while ago about this, so I'm not going to get arrested. I took a job as a British woman in New York because at the time was I in college or it was like after college, but it was like you could make money under the table. You could be the hostess at the front of the restaurant. But they were like, I went in, I was like, the right height or whatever. And they were like, we only hire British girls. I wanted to be like, why? They were like, well, if you got to be black, you should at least be exotic. Wow. They didn't say that, but it was implied, right? Okay. So I was looking, and I'm like, oh, okay. And there's an actress who I won't name who's working in Hollywood now, who was one of the hostesses. There were like other girls. Everybody, if they were brown, the accent was like popping. It was like, the most important thing was like, hello. So, but okay, this is what happened. I left and went back to find the manager. I basically said to the guy who said to me, oh, we only hire English girls. I was like, okay, great. Fine. Just so I know, when is the manager here? And then I went back with my same resume on the day that the manager was there. And I said, is Tony available? Because I understand that you're hiring and I would love to take this job. I've got qualifications, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh, fantastic. When are you available? Like just immediate, hired me on the spot, right? And what I really wanted to say in that moment is, you don't want me unless I sound like this. And that's got to be some kind of discrimination. Like, that's not okay. Like, I'm a disgusting, like, black street urchin unless I sound like this. And then, I'm okay. I'm Cynthia Erivo. I don't know what the Anyway, so I do wish to this day that instead of like taking the, you know what I mean? Like they were like, ew, unless, and then I was like, okay, I look back and I'm like, I know, first of all, it was a lot of money just for like taking people's coats, whatever.
Yes, in New York?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coat check girl, hostess. But I also, there's a part of me that really dehuman, you know what I mean? It was like, oh, okay, you're more acceptable if this. And for the rest, I was like 35 when I stopped using British to get out of trouble. If people wouldn't deliver, I'd be like, okay, I'll call you right back. When is your delivery ending? Okay, great. And then I would call back like, we need several coffees here immediately. And they'd be like, yes, ma'am, we'll get it to you right away. Like, all you have to do is be English and not too black. It was up.
Colonization is a mug, right?
And the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Forever.
They colonize your white ass too.
Yes, indeed. They have been colonized. They just don't recognize it.
Of course.
Yeah.
That is great. I love that story. Okay, so this is a Shoulda Kept That, where I share a story with you that someone shared with us, and then you tell me what you think. All right, I have always been a class clown. I love joking with people. I was hanging out with my friends, and one of them brought a newbie to the circle. I started going in. Everybody was laughing and having a good time, so I kept going. He said something back, and I said, tell your mom next time, don't burn the spaghetti. Everybody got quiet real quick and left. Turns out his mom had just passed away, and they brought him out to console him.
dear. So should he have kept that to himself? I mean, so it's awkward and it's sad and fucked up, but I can't really fault the person because he couldn't know, right? Everybody should walk into the party with like a neon sign that's like, "Mom just died. Don't say the up thing. Newly divorced, just found out, their child is on meth," like whatever. People should walk around with a sign so that you don't say that. But I think under normal circumstances, you can't fault him because he was going in and it was going fine. And he was like, let me just keep getting it in. So I think I guess it's nice that he at least said, oops, my bad, may she rest in power.
No.
That's horrible. It's horrible, but also I don't think it was their fault. I'm so sorry, Mom, with the spaghetti. Oh, yeah, Mom. And anyway, I won't be having spaghetti for a while.
I know. At least it was nothing sexual. It was just
wow. Because I thought it was gonna be like, next time tell your mom these was like which I mean I'm just saying I would be like, oh well, consider the choice of material just in case.
It's so funny because people like I met you through, we have a mutual friend, and people see you as so like rated G, like they don't when they don't know you, and then when I'm around you, she be like, what the f-? And it's so funny because I'm like, it's the accents. We've all been colonized. Like you do the accents, and they're like, that's Sarah.
Right? They're like, oh, she's so PBS.
Yeah.
Like, no, you have no idea.
I love it, though. That's where we meet. That we brought in the new year, last year.
Oh my God, almost exactly a year ago.
Yeah.
Ooh, we didn't see this coming. But you
No.
know what? Nevertheless, we persist. We gonna be here.
Through the revolution, we will continue.
God, correct.
All right, so this segment is called Say It With Your Chest. This used to be, we call it our lightning round, but we've officially named it.
Okay.
We've officially named it. It's called Say It With Your Chest.
Okay.
Smash or pass? Workplace potlucks.
Ooh, pass it.
Me
Good
too.
gracious.
Would you rather physical books or the iPad?
This is so hard, but physical books. I'm a physical books girl. I like the electronic, but the physical books is
Same.
what I'm smashing.
When was the first time you remember feeling embarrassed?
Oh, girl,
I love it.
in the womb. I think my family was so, they're trying to get the schmutz off. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was like anxiety from different persecuted people from all backgrounds, all like coursing through my veins from the time I was like 2 or 3. So I was just like a little adultified, parentified little girl. Like
that's so funny.
I was like that. So I was always like, oh, I hope, is everything okay? And people are like, you're 4. Like you're not supposed to care if the rug, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yes, lots of embarrassment, which I'm making up for now. I'm like trying to unlearn all that.
Shame.
Yeah, because that's colonialism too. Let's blame them for what they need to be blamed for, which is everything.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay. The Fight or Flight, the cast of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Oh, Jesus. You know what? I'm going to stay and fight.
Hey!
After all these years of being coy and doing it like that, I'm going to be like, I'm going to grab extensions and start whipping. No, I'm such a pacifist, but it's fun to say that.
Yeah, no. I just remember I didn't really know, because I've never watched The Housewives. I didn't really know how they got down. I just remember watching an episode one time, and it wasn't even, because I've never seen an episode actually. It was like the wrap up with Andy.
Oh,
like,
yeah. That, which is even, right. That's the distilled, that's the crack. If the show itself is the cocaine, the thing with Andy is like
Oh man, they were having a conversation, and I just remember like, I don't know if I stepped away for something, but when I came back, one of them was dragging the other one by the hair,
literally across the
and
set.
it was like, hey, that's the Miss America,
not
like,
very former.
Yeah, but I was like, what the hell? I had never known that they got down like that.
They really do. They really do. And you know what's wild about it too? The part of me that like, I'm like feminist studies and we don't want to demean, there's a part of me that's like, that is demeaning to women.
Of course.
And then the other part of me is like, y'all deserve this. like, mop up the floor with them, Andy. But Andy should get dragged too. So that's if you're gonna do it, everybody should have to.
Oh yeah, he should get dragged, not just verbally.
No, correct. We mean you got to get down in there.
You gotta
with
get
everybody
the same
else.
thing that everybody gets, right?
And that's correct. You don't get to just sit there and collect the checks.
So if you could say something to your favorite teacher, what would it be?
Oh, okay. So it's Miss Jenkins, and it would be poetry. She taught me poetry, which I really started out with like spoken word. I loved hip hop, all of that. And I think she really instilled that in me. And it was third grade.
Aww.
She was so good to us. And that was, I think little kids, I can still see parts of, like I did a film where this character, is he here? Let me see. Y'all, it's about to get high.
Okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
I want to see some of these characters.
I mean, you got to excuse the lip color, you know what I mean? Because I'm a dude. Sarah Jones be coming on sets and, she put all the glam and all that. I'm like, what I'm supposed to do with this? I ain't non-binary. You feel
Hey!
me? No shade. But I'm saying, as the only dude Sarah Jones brought with her, you know what I mean? I can't pick up this microphone, but if I could, you know what I mean? I would be holding it. You would know the hip hop, it's all right here. But really, it's poetry. You know what I mean? That's where it started at. I'm from Brooklyn. Sarah Jones dated somebody and then created me.
Okay.
Probably a little bit of revenge. Sorry about that. Anyway, no, I said I used to date this.
Did you date that dude?
Kind of. I dated he's a composite.
Okay.
I need to stop messing up my hair for these dudes. Anyway, but the poetry thing, she created this love of words and especially Black wordsmiths. And then, hip hop is that beautiful marriage of like word. I mean, unless it's mumble, like, all right, some trap music is fine.
Okay.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna stack paper like this and get all that money for publishing, write down some words. Why is Kendrick the only one?
Shots fired.
I'm just saying. Everybody who needs to catch strays, catch your strays from this statement. People should not be making money as lyricists for like a whole song that has one bar in it. That's spread out across I don't know. That's just me. That's an old school.
Have you heard Camila Cabello's song? I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I have indeed.
It's so funny because the rapper who I can't remember his name. If anybody can remember, just yell it out. But he's in the song. And I just saw all these videos on TikTok of people making fun of him. And they're like, I'm murder.
And yet he's laughing all the way to the bank because if he wrote those verses.
I just want to know what the words really are.
I mean, listen, that's a concept. Maybe Elon Musk will give everybody $1 million for figuring out what those lyrics are. And that's democracy, how we doing it right now. Sweet Jesus.
I know y'all gonna call me old or whatever. Y'all gonna say whatever y'all want. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't understand what he's saying. That's what I'll say back to you.
That's the put in the comments. If you have something to say, please spell out in the comments and we'll respond.
What do you have going on now? What are you doing? What are you working on?
So this America Who Hurt You thing, it's a fun podcast that I'm trying to get you on.
I can't wait to do it.
And I'm so excited. And I've had amazing guests like Laverne Cox and Jane Fonda, veterans
Nice.
and like amazing people who are doing great work like you. And we want to do something live with audiences. So I can't announce it yet, but there's some producers who are helping us do something that brings people together IRL, because God knows, we love social media, but that alone ain't it. We can't just be doom scrolling through the next 4 years.
Social media can play good or play bad. It just depends
she
on.
She turns real quick.
Yeah, she can turn real quick.
Yeah.
And it's like I just know I'll wake up and doom scrolling it is. But it's not doom scrolling anymore. It's just scrolling and it just ends
all
in
just
doom. Right? Because I'll go and I'm like, oh, look at this little girl.
Yeah.
This is so cute.
Yeah.
And this is the new dance,
Okay,
right?
inspired, okay.
And then you're like, and then little by little.
It just first it's like drop the skincare routine. Okay, skin product.
Puerto Ricans should die. And I'm like,
hey, how we get from skincare routine to all Puerto Ricans should die?
Yeah.
Like that was a fast jump for me.
Yes. And then I'm
bad.
like, and you got to be careful what you watch for an extended amount of time because then the algorithm starts feeding you that. And so just this last week, I found myself falling into a depression because I had been on social media. I had been spending a lot of time on social media. And I was like, I can't do this.
Yes. And like everybody has to live their life and make their choices.
Yes.
I am convinced in the next 15, 20 years or maybe sooner, we're going to start seeing reports like, social media is the cigarettes. Cigarettes were killing people with cancer for decades.
Yes.
And the cigarette companies were like, who, us? We ain't doing nothing. No, y'all just breathe the air funny. Y'all need to breathe better. And then finally, they were forced to admit, oh, oops, we kind of like giving y'all cancer and fucking up your lungs and your heart and everything in your brain. Bye. And so Mark Zuckerberg, I'm not going to, give more love from the algo for saying this, but I'm very clear. The studies are out there.
Yeah.
They just get suppressed because, I'm on my phone. I just try to keep it. I keep it in a separate room. I do not pick shit up for the first hour that I'm awake.
Oh, I need to start doing
It
that.
sets your brain. It literally is like your circadian rhythm, the sun. Get your away from, get another alarm. Go someplace that's not Walmart or whoever also funded Trump. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm all over the place with this, but I'm like, get a mom and pop store, the little alarm clock by your bed. Cause that's what everybody said. Oh, I can't, my phone, like my alarm. It's like, oh my God. And it's like, yeah, I know, but like get another alarm. Just get a regular like watch. Just get something.
An alarm is a good idea.
Alarms really help. And then give yourself an hour, get your right, and then you can get on there. But it's when that's the first thing your brain is eating. It's like junk food. That's the first thing you're taking in the morning.
This is what's happening.
This is what you're gonna do all day.
This is why I feel so exhausted.
You know what? We're gonna get you. We gotta get you. We going hiking. That's how we're gonna fix that.
Yes.
Okay.
Promise.
So it's all solved. We said what we meant, and we're gonna hike what we mean.
So tell people where they can find you, your podcast, and everything that you got, your movie.
Yes, on my movie. So people can find all the things at sarahjonesonline.com. The fun thing about my name is the only name more common on earth is Muhammad. So Sarah Jones, you have to go to Yes, I'm Sarah Jones across all the platforms, IG and everywhere. And you can find America Who Hurt You info on my website. All the good shit is there. And my movie, Sell by Date, which people can watch. It's about amazing, empowering messages like what you share, Ida. Which
VOD, right?
Yeah, it's everywhere. Amazon, Apple, all the places where I complain about the billionaires.
Yo, it's funny. I went to the screening, to the premiere.
did.
I loved it. It was so good. You were fabulous. You were so great in it.
Thank you, love.
So thank you for doing what you do. I appreciate you.
Mutual.
And thank you for being here with us on Say What You Mean. We want to invite you to follow us on social media at SWYM Pod on all social media platforms. If you are listening, please hit the subscribe button if you're on Spotify or Apple. If you are watching, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to give us your rating and your review. And we will see you next time on Say What You Mean.